Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Here we are again after the State of the Union address. And I just wanted to pick out just a piece of it when he asked everybody to stand up. Now, if you see this thumbnail, just to give you a little background history, it says divest from the Democrat Party. And before I give you all the details, just like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you come in for a few seconds or a few minutes or whatever, hit the like button, hit the like button. But one of the things I wanted to say is when I first started the divestment series a couple of years ago, my primary focus was to get Black folks from off the plantation, voting for Democrats willy nilly, without really looking at the policies, thinking that there's some kind of safe haven under some covering of some liberal Democrats. And there's nothing further from the truth, and I, just to go back in history, most Black folks, me included, was born into the Democrat Party because our parents voted Democrat. After the New Deal, everybody started to vote Democrat, especially after the Civil Rights Bill. And a lot of people forget that it was a Republican who broke the filibuster to pass that on to LBJ. But here's the point. Somewhere along the line, we had Obama became president, and most of us voted for Obama just because he was Black. It turns out he did more for the alphabet mafia than he did for Black folks anyway. And one of the biggest things that the so-called Black gatekeepers keep missing is that there's a strong bigotry in the Democratic Party that Black folks need them. We're too dog shit stupid to do anything on our own. And so we need their protection. And or we're just too dumb and we need them to hold our hands to move and make our way in the world. And I feel kind of upset that it took me up to the election, the campaign of Hillary Clinton. And I voted for her, by the way, over Donald Trump because I was still believing the bullshit that was coming down from liberal Democrats. And so after a while, you started to listen a little bit more and forget about your skin color and think about, we're Americans. And there's probably no more Americans, just like white folks, who have receipts that the fruits of this country belong to us as much as anybody else. We have receipts. We got hundreds of years of receipts of working this country for free. So when the country has fruit to bear, we as Black folks need to be chomping at the bit to get as many of those fruits as we can based on meritocracy and all that kind of stuff. And we don't need fucking guys like Gavin Newsom telling us that he's like us because he can't get over 900 on the SAT. That shit's embarrassing. Or get the Democrats to tell us we're too dog shit stupid to get fucking IDs, right? Black folks get IDs for anything they want. A car, Mondani, the communist, says, you know what? You need 5 forms of ID to shovel the snow because he's not ready to do it for New York with the money they pour into the coffers. You need 5 forms of ID, but to vote, you don't need any. I mean, just think about the hypocrisy, the stupidity, and the sad part about it is so many Black people still vote like lemmings for these assholes who look down on us. And they call it the soft bigotry of low expectations, but there's nothing soft about it. It's hard. It's like a Trojan horse. The liberal Democrats, Malcolm X said it best. Our biggest enemy is a liberal Democrat. He said white liberal Democrats, but I think it's all liberal Democrats. I think especially the Black ones like Brandon Johnson, Mayor Karen Bass, and all of these folks and all the celebrities that go with them, they hate us as Black people because they turn on us at every turn for the money, clout, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just saying, we need to look a little bit differently as that we do. So now looking at Trump, I don't have to like Trump to understand that the policies that he was talking about on the campaign trail are better for all Americans. not just Black Americans, but all Americans. Having a sovereign nation, having the borders closed, getting illegals out of the country, it costs money. Even if they're not, then they're criminals. The Democrats tell you, well, Americans commit crimes too. So we should just allow, foreigners to come in and turn our country into a shithole because Americans commit crimes too. I mean, that's their comeback on that. And the biggest thing is that we could prevent foreigners from killing American people by not letting them in. You know what I'm saying? So this live. I'm already rambling more than I want to. I want to go back to the State of the Union when Trump asked people to stand up. Do you believe in Americans? Do you believe in keeping Americans safe, or do you'll stand up and clap? And this picture is the picture, a still of the Democrats saying, "Nah, you know what? We want foreigners. To hell with Americans. We need a new voting bloc." Because let me also tell you, the last election, if every single Black person who voted cast a vote for a Democrat, Trump would have still won the election. He would have lost one state by a slim margin. I forgot which state it was, but he only lost one state. So the Black Power voting bloc is getting weaker and weaker because, hopefully a little bit because I know it's not because of me, but more and more Black men are saying there's nothing in the Democrat Party for us, really, And as far as Black women is concerned, 92% of them voted, for Kamala Harris because she cosplayed as a Black woman. So, anything that affirms them, they're going to vote for, whether it's the alphabet mafia, whether it's open borders. If it makes them feel good, they're going to vote for it, whether it's good for them or not. As far as Black men, we don't have such luxuries, just like no men do. We have to make our own way. So the policies that America has is important to us. So I got a couple of things here. One, I'm going to go through the 5 minutes or so of Trump asking people to stand up. Everybody's seen this by now. And hopefully they have this shit on, autoplay when it comes time to vote. Because I'm not conceding the midterms. We cannot let the Democrats get power again because they're telling you what they're going to do. Just like Trump told you what he was going to do. If he got power, he actually stuck by what he said. He was going to close the borders, get the illegals out, declare that there's only two genders, which I'm for, stop the mutilation of children, which I'm for, get rid of cashless bail, which I'm for. It's just a lot of stuff that makes sense to me, and the Democrats have nothing. They want open borders, everything goes. We could mutilate our children. We could take sovereignty away from their parents. We can put sex books at third graders to read. We could do all kinds of liberal bullshit. And we could be an open rebellion against the federal government to make sanctuary cities so the worst of the worst can hide there and be safe from justice because we're going to protect them. And that's exactly what's going on. So I want to, and you know what? Thank God, a lot of the sheriffs around the country are starting to say, wait a minute, this is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. We don't want that. We're not going to protect criminals because you have a political ideology against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is only going to be around for 3 more years. America, hopefully, thank God, will be around for a lot longer than that. So how we vote matters. It's got to be bigger than Trump. It does. We either want a sovereign nation or we don't. That's the bottom line. And the policies matter. They matter. So I'm just go ahead and, rambling, just hit the like button. Listen, when I do these things, I'm just a regular fucking asshole, who lives in America for a few years, right? I'm in my 60s. I'd like to see the country keep going for the young folks. And it can't be a strong country if we don't have any borders, we don't have any sovereignty. We let the worst of the worst from other countries come here, take root, and give them more clout than we give our actual citizens. I can't see us doing that. And we were close. We saw what it looked like under Biden. And I'm going to remind you again what it looks like, what it looked like with those open borders. We can't forget. Like we got these short memories because whoever has the best soundbite is the one we gravitate towards. Can you remember the open borders and just people just flocking and trampling over this thing? And think about if it was your front door. Think about the borders of the United States as your own home, as you should, on a macro level. How many people can just hang out in your crib, man? How many? And you wouldn't even have to be that impersonal. How many of your family members, even if you have some kind of love, your cousins and shit like that, could just hang out at your crib? You don't know how they were living. You're going to just open your door and just let them just hang out because they want to do better. So there's got to be expectations. Anyway, so let me go ahead and I'm going to just go ahead and get started with what Trump's thing and what he said. And you guys could stay here and listen to it, hit the like button, or you could leave, But I'm going to play and I'm going to go through what I have here. I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to remind you of what it looks like when all these Democrats sat down, what it looked like under 4 years of Biden, with people rushing the borders. Okay? and the fact that we didn't need new legislation, we didn't need any of that shit. We just needed a president to say, you know what, I'm going to close the borders. And he did it within a month. Resolve. And because it's Trump, people hate to, listen, I don't have to love Trump, but his policies are better. They were better. Now, I wish he was a different character kind of guy because that would take all the excuses away from the Democrats. Okay? But, we got what we got. We got what we got. And the people voted for him overwhelmingly across the country. So anyway, enough of me rambling. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button, if you will, because I go live every so often. And I'm just talking off the cuff. I don't have no script. I don't have none of that stuff. Just sometimes, you remember that movie Network? You just say, shit, I'm pissed off and I don't want to take it anymore. I don't need Gavin Newsom telling me that he relates to me because I'm black and I can't do an SAT score. I don't need President Biden saying, if I don't vote for a Democrat, I ain't black. Who the fuck does he think he is? I don't need somebody telling me I'm too dog shit stupid to get an ID, a birth certificate, and all that kind of stuff that we need to just have normal lives. If you're a black person, you should be just pissed off that somebody's talking down to you. I don't want to let nobody talk down to me like that condescending bullshit. And we got a whole political party telling us that we're fucking assholes. And the black gatekeepers who reinforce that bullshit. And I'm, what? I'm not supposed to curse and shit, but I don't care, man. This is a real world. It's the real world. So anyway, here's my man, Trump, saying what he's saying. And let me do this. Let me do that. Let me go ahead and start it because it's like 5 minutes long. You all seen it before. You all seen it. This is part of me, just as a copy of my old live.
It's a shame. So you have to think about it. We have, in case you didn't know, pretty large snowstorm out there. One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight, I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
So let me stop it right there. Okay, we all get the point of that one, right? He was on point. I mean, what can you say? He was absolutely on point. And we have a bunch of sanctuary states. And here's where the Republicans went wrong. I don't see why they didn't challenge sanctuary status in the courts. I believe it's unconstitutional for any state to say, you know what? I'm going to break with the federal government and we're going to do what the hell we want. We're going to protect illegal aliens from in sanctuary. Sanctuary means you're given protection. These governors and these mayors, they're in open rebellion to the federal government. I mean, I don't think we've seen this as bad. We didn't see it at all, but wasn't the Civil War about that? And I'm not saying we should go to arms. I'm saying when the Confederate States went against the federal government because they wanted to have to govern the way they wanted to govern, the country went to war over that shit. So maybe this is an ideological war that we're going to right now. But what I'm saying is, it's dumb. Why? Why are we doing this? Okay, so I have another clip that I want to play, and we're going to do that right now. And that's the clip from that. We're going to take this one down. And we're going to go to the clip of the open borders just to go back when, the guys were running across the border willy-nilly and nobody gave a shit, man. Well, people did, but we allowed it. The government allowed it. And it was crazy. It was absolute madness. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. This is just a minute of this shit. And this is back in the day under the Biden administration.
That is what federal officials say they are encountering at the U.S. southern border on average In December, that's among the highest numbers ever recorded. And with multiple border entry points remaining closed as the surge at the southern border escalates, U.S. officials now warning that the situation is nearing a, quote, breaking point. Ed Lavandera is out front.
10,000 migrants a day across the border. Did you see those the Democrats who sat down, the liberal Democrats, the socialists sitting down when presidents said what he said? Do you have any doubt that we'll be seeing this shit again if those fucking guys get back in office? Do you have any doubt that this is going to happen again so they can get a new block of voters, so they can disenfranchise the lowest of the lowest here in the United States, take the tax dollars like Chicago did, which is in a budget deficit, like New York did, which is in a budget deficit. And both of those cities had black mayors who had the majority of votes from black people. And the first thing they did was stick it up their ass, okay? Brandon Johnson is stuck his hips. And listen, and Mondani wants to raise taxes on the poorest of New Yorkers by almost 10%. And guess what? Because most of the migrants were illegal, they sent there because the southern states just bust them out there, right? And then they got free healthcare, free housing, free food, free EBT, free this, free that, all on the backs of the poorest Americans. And they undercut the jobs. So this is what you're going to get. And they proved it to you, right? They sat down there and said, hey.
Apprehensions of migrants crossing the southern U.S. border are once again reaching record levels. A Department of Homeland Security official tells CNN the average number of encounters in the last week is 9,600 per day. This rate of apprehensions has not been seen since earlier this year, in the days before the lifting of the COVID-era restriction known as Title 42.
All right, so that's enough, man. I don't know how much more you got to be reminded of the disaster that was for 4 years when we had Weekend at Bernie's at the presidency. And then he had his sycophant chick as his vice president who was supposed to be the border czar, who never visited there. You know, I mean, at some point, we got to stop being useful dupes, right? I mean, you got to pick a party, yeah, but what are the policies and not the personalities that matter? You know? And I was one of those guys who said, listen, Biden was more racist than Trump ever has been. And he's got receipts to show, up to and including that he didn't want his kids to go to school with black people. He's on record, man, doing a eulogy for Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard or some shit like that. You know, so all I'm just trying to say is, you know, racism is not our biggest issue anymore. It really isn't. It really isn't. And black folks have to start to understand that, hey, listen, we can't just live based on the color of our skin. It's more important to listen. There's a whole bunch of black folk who feel sorry for Ilhan Omar, right? She doesn't give a shit about skin color, because back in Somali, one Somali tribe was exterminating another one. They all had brown skin, black skin. So it ain't about the skin color. It's about ideology. So anyway, listen, so I just wanted to show a couple of pieces. And here's one last piece I want to show. There's one last one I want to show. And it's from a guy who's a conservative pundit. And it's just a couple of minutes of what he has to say. And we're going to show him. And then we'll just get to the end of this thing. I just wanted to rant. And I just wanted to remind people what we had before. And it's not about President Trump. He's absolutely right on the border. He's absolutely right on illegal immigrants. And the fact that we see so much consternation in the blue states is because the governors and the mayors are in open rebellion against the federal law, and they tell their state and local police not to cooperate with detainers. And when you do that, and then you put a battery in the back of your people, it leads to obstruction of justice. And in Minneapolis, it led to the death of 2 people who should not have died, because the battery should have never been put in their back for the ideology of the mayor and the governor. Yeah, you know, they're the ones who who precipitated all that issues in the streets. And as soon as they buckled to Trump saying, and to Home saying, listen, all this shit will stop. We'll send all these ICE agents away and the people to protect them if you just let us go to the jails and pick up the criminals. And once they said yes to that, was the last riot you saw on the street in Minneapolis, right? You don't think there was illegal immigrants in red states? Why didn't have these protests in the red states? Because they cooperated with the federal government. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. And I think that, I believe some of the mayors and the governors should be arrested. I really believe that, for sedition. If you look up sedition, you'll see some of their faces in there. So that's my theory. All right, so what's the last one? Here's the last one. This is the last one I'm gonna show. My man, where's he at? There we go. All right, so just the beginning of what he has to say is pretty good. A couple of minutes of him. And go to his channel, because this guy's pretty good, man. He's a kind of really good kind of guy. Let's go.
Breaking news coming out of the state of Maryland. Local sheriffs are now calling out the governor and local officials after cooperation with ICE has been banned. They are claiming innocent people are now going to get hurt. This all comes as Democrats are now demanding publicly mass amnesty for the millions of illegal aliens that crossed over the border under Joe Biden. Let's start with what the sheriff had to say. Take a listen.
This is nothing more than politics over public safety. And we as elected sheriffs are fed up with it. You don't see this many sheriffs in one location in the state at any given time. But we have to come together in unison to stop the ridiculousness that's going on up here in Annapolis, Maryland. And lawmakers need to wake up and realize Marylanders and the American people want public safety over politics, and they're not getting it.
So this is...
Let me just stop it right there. Do you know how it has to feel for a law enforcement official to be told to let a criminal loose because your mayor and your governor hates Donald Trump? They didn't do that. They didn't do that to Obama. You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, these are cops. When they see an ICE agent, they see a border agent, they see other cops. They are a fraternal order, man, of cops. And so when they hear some bureaucratic asshole says, you got to let this rapist, this criminal, this murderer, don't hold him because we don't care about his immigration status. Let him go. Mayor Wu in Boston spent all the money on illegal aliens, and so they don't even have money for public defenders. So they're letting thousands of criminals back on the street. To you fucking people, man. They're in your neighborhoods. They're in our neighborhoods. And they're telling the cops to stand down. That's traitorous, man, just because they want votes. And then they want to govern you after that, after your blood is in the streets. I mean, come on. I don't care whether you like Donald Trump or not.
And lawmakers need to wake up and realize Marylanders and the American people want public safety over politics, and they're not getting it.
So this is another heartbreaking plea from a sheriff, a law enforcement official who is actually contradicting what the state representatives and the governor wants. We're talking about Governor Wes Moore, that is. Okay, this sheriff is dead on about what he is stating. I'm going to go to a particular quote from another sheriff who also said this. They want to do everything they can to handcuff law enforcement, handcuff sheriffs across the state. I mean, guys, we've seen this and what happened under the Biden administration when he opened up the border and refused to allow Border Patrol to do their jobs. What happens in the end? Innocent people get hurt. The results are disastrous. They're literally doing this again in real time, and hope people are taking note of that. And so let's go to this next clip where you get to witness the mindset behind these type of policies that are disastrous. They don't really care about illegal aliens killing American citizens. Take a listen.
He is supposed to represent all people.
When you go through some of the moments he went to, right, he pointed to a little girl, Delilah, who was almost killed by an illegal alien, miraculously came back. She was there with her dad. When you have Democrats who won't stand and applaud her recovery, yeah, I think that's
Sadly,
crazy.
people are killed in America every day. Sadly. And the majority of them are killed by U.S. citizens. So whether
I don't understand that.
Yeah, listen. Okay, I know some of you out here in the audience, for your ideology, might not see the demonic bullshit that this black woman just said. Since Americans kill other Americans, how can we be mad for foreign illegals to kill more Americans? Something that could be prevented by not letting them in the first place. Nothing goes to zero. But can you see the horns growing out of this fucking woman's head? Do you want her to be the kind of person to lead this country into the future? This kind of woman, this kind of liberal bullshit, you know, I'm serious. You don't have to, like I said, you don't have to like Trump. This is a mindset that permeates millions of people who want to take power again. It's criminal. And this is a CNN, so this woman is outgunned even by Abby Phillips and you know, where's Scott Jennings when you need him?
Undocumented immigrant,
I'm saying
whether
this
it's
is calling
an
out about
undocumented immigrant or a
curtailing
U.S. citizen
fentanyl,
who's
about
the
supporting
perpetrator.
No, here's
The
the
bottom
difference.
line is somebody has died or someone has been
One died as a
seriously
result
injured.
of bad.
All right. Well,
Yeah, so again, you could go to Devori Dawkins, his link. I'll put it in the description. This guy's a good pundit, and he's fair actually when he talks. You know, he's a conservative, but he likes to show both sides. I don't even know if I could have stomached just watching that sister saying the shit that she said. She's the kind of person who'll put the worst of the worst back in the black neighborhood for her ideology. You know what I'm saying? I don't see how, you know, at some point we got to divest black folks. We got to divest from the Democrats. And I don't care whether you think the Republicans are more racist and all that. Nothing is more racist than a person who thinks lower of you and is willing to see bloodshed in your communities, high crime, just for ideology. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's nothing worse than that. You know, these are Republicans that say, hey, man, I don't give a shit whether you're black. Get out there and work your ass off just like everybody else. Anyway, listen, I already rambled enough. I appreciate everybody coming back. I know I kind of ignored the chat. I'm sure some of y'all said a lot of stuff. I just felt like ranting, and I know some of y'all are for what I said, some of y'all are against what I said. It's all fair game. We're supposed to be in a country where we can say our piece without going crazy against each other. You know, and I'm going to just leave you guys with this. I think sovereignty of this country is very important. You know, it's sovereign nation, man. We all should want to live under a sovereign nation where we have the glue that holds us together. And we can't, you know, the two key issues of legal immigration is this. One, if you're here legally, part of your initiation is to grow allegiance to this country. The other part is to assimilate into American culture. Nobody says you got to get rid of your own home culture and all that shit. You don't have to get rid of your religion. You don't have to get rid of the things that kept your families together. But there's got to be some pride in becoming American, right? You could look Chinese and be an American, right? Chinese were the ones who broke the 14th Amendment in terms of opening it up other than just for slaves, right? Right? It was a big court case, but it was 1898 or something. So the bottom line is this. And there's a lot of bottom lines. The bottom line from my perspective, is that, we should have a sovereign nation. This nation needs to be strong. And to be strong, you need to have a strong front door. And for us, that's the borders. And right now, Trump is the guy talking about keeping the borders safe. And he's not just talking about it, he actually did it by just redirecting the guys who are supposed to keep us safe to do their job. Right? And so so Westmore, who is in open rebellion against the federal government, is telling his police chief and policemen to let savages, criminals back on the street to terrorize his own citizens, right? Because most of his constituents are black, right? In a lot of areas in Maryland. And he's saying it's okay if they're illegal, if they're here, just let them go. We'll continue to pay for them. We'll continue to bankrupt our state. We'll continue to raise taxes on the poor of us. We'll continue to do all this because we hate Trump and we want new voters. And we're going to get them no matter how. Listen, in the midterms, you guys got to come out and y'all got to make sure these guys don't retake the House. Y'all got to, I'm not as worried about the presidency as much as I am, and they certainly can't take over the Senate. Or else we're all doomed. We're all doomed. And if you have any conservative bones in your body, you don't want other people just walking over us. You want our country to come like Somalia, right? And that's another thing, I'm ranting. The president mentioned Somalia, so Somalis specifically. And as a black man, he said, well, he's racist. Oh, he's talking about the black, brown people. Well, let me tell you. I'm old enough to understand when the federal government and the state government went after the La Cosa Nostra, the Italian mob. They went after those white boys with everything they had. They actually broke the mob in a lot of different ways and drove them underground. So it's not just a black thing, right? It's who's committing the most crime. And I'm willing to say, in Little Somalia in Minneapolis, it's not really the Somalis. They're taking advantage of the fact that the governor, the mayor, and everybody in between who's supposed to monitor those programs didn't do it. So you could arrest 10,000 Somalis. If they don't get the real perpetrators who allowed that fraud to happen, then it's all bullshit. So J.D. Vance just became the fraud czar. If we don't see some administrators, high-ranking administrators, in handcuffs, then it's all bullshit then anyway. And I'm just rambling for nothing. Because they could arrest all the Somalis. That's not going to stop the fact that there's an open door to fraud. Right? They took advantage of what America gave them to offer. Because most of America, people don't believe it. Much of what we do is like on a buddy system, the honor system. We got these laws, and the laws allow people to dance around them all the goddamn time. Anyway, this is a world according to our pain. Your favorite baby boomer. And listen, I fool around. I'm gonna get out of here and get out of your hair. I have one more thing to play. I got one more thing to say. And it's really, I don't know. I just came up with this. I have AI music, and I'm gonna just go out listening to this tune. I just came up with it. The title of it is, a country can't survive without sovereign borders. And I got an old country boy singing it to blues music. And I'm going to just go out on that. I'm going to get out of your way. I'm not going to talk anymore. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the like button, by the way. Whether you like this, what I just said or not, hit the like button. Just do me a favor. Hit the down like if you don't like it as well. I don't really care. Subscribe to the channel because I come back with rants every so often. But this one is really a big deal. And can't be that we'll sell out the country because we hate Trump. The guy's only going to be around for 3 more years. And all this bullshit about a third term and all, it's just not going to happen. He's old as hell. And don't let me go down that path. We should never vote for another. Listen, I'm past the prime too. We should never vote for another person for president if he's over 65 years old. Maybe 60. You know, we shouldn't have no 85, 80-year-old fucking people running the country. Right? We should gear up, and we need to, you know, boost up the younger guys to run this country. And another thing, there should be term limits in the Senate and in the House. We should change some things real, you know? Listen, yeah, because I'm not this guy says this AI user, it's lazy as hell. Yeah, it's lazy as hell. I don't got no goddamn musical talent. That's why I put it together. You know, so you know what? You could just log off, man. That's the bottom line. You don't need to listen to it. I ain't trying to say I'm some kind of songwriter. Anyway, I'm getting out of here because I could continue to ramble about anything. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll go from there. Okay. So I'm gonna leave you with this tune. I think the words are pretty cool. It's longer than I thought it would be, but I'm gonna play it anyway. You can tell me how you feel about it later on.
Listen to me now. If you want to keep your house, you gotta keep the perimeter tight. It's a simple kind of truth, plain as the morning sun. A house with no walls is a house that's already done. Well, a nation's just a ghost without a line drawn in the sand. You gotta have a border if you're gonna have land. Sovereignty is a power and strength is the command. That's right now. I see the horizon stretching out where the sky meets the red clay. But a man who owns his peace knows who's coming in to stay. Without a gate and a key, you're just giving the world away. It ain't about the silver, it ain't about the gold. It's about the foundation and the stories that we told. A country needs a backbone, brave and firm and bold. Keep the border drawn, keep the nation free. That's the way it was and the way it's gotta be.
Hard pain, marriage, politics, and sports. Your favorite baby boomer. Back at you again. Until next time, have a good night.